You know the feeling, right? You're just scrolling, minding your own business, and boom, a Family Guy clip pops up. And you either laugh out loud or you get that full body cringe and just have to keep scrolling. But have you ever really stopped to think about why it hits so differently now? This isn't just about whether the jokes hold up. It's about a show that's basically become a totally different animal in today's world.
Yeah, so get ready to pretty much reevaluate everything you thought you knew about the Griffins. We're about to go deep on how this, super controversial comedy that started way back in 1999 has just completely morphed into something else. We're going to unpack its legacy, and trust me, it's way more surprising and complex than you'd think.
All right, Section 1, a comedic revolution. This is all about how Quahog broke the rules of animation. So let's get right into it. To really get what Family Guy is today, we gotta rewind the clock, back to when it first just exploded onto our screens. Because see, it wasn't just another cartoon. Oh no, it was a total game changer. It basically looked at the rulebook and tore it up.
And its secret weapon, the thing it used to break all those rules, it was the cutaway gag. You know what I'm talking about. That totally random scene that just abruptly cuts away from whatever's happening. They absolutely mastered this style. It was a complete non sequitur, and it just shredded the old sitcom storytelling rulebook. It basically proved that a joke could be hilarious without having anything, and I mean anything, to do with the actual plot.
And when you look at it like this, you're basically seeing the show's DNA laid out. This whole random humor thing, pushing the boundaries of what you could say on TV, that wasn't just a cheap gimmick. It was a blueprint. It literally influenced a whole decade of adult animation that came after it. Seriously, so many shows we all watch today owe a huge debt to the risks Family Guy was taking way back then.
But, and this is a huge but, there's something you can't just cut away from, and that's the character's behavior. And right here, this is the core tension of the entire show. For every single clever little cutaway gag, there's a character moment that's, well, it's deeply disturbing. And you can't just hit the eject button on that. We have to look at it head on.
Okay, part 2, Quahog's darkest secrets. And we're re-examining the characters. This is where that nice, neat picture of comedic innovation starts to get really complicated. Because let's be real, if you actually analyze what these characters do, if they were real people, a lot of them wouldn't just be controversial, they'd be in prison. Straight up.
So let's kick things off with Lois, the mom. The one who's supposed to be the voice of reason, right? The sane one in the family. Well, let's look at the file. When you actually list out her actions, I mean, child endangerment for forcing Stewie down a toilet to get a pill, seducing her daughter's minor boyfriend, the picture that starts to form is, as one analysis puts it, flat out dangerous.
And this is the thing. This isn't just, edgy, dark humor. The quote here says it all. She joins in being cruel to Meg, and at one point even tells her to unlife herself. The show actually has a scene where she hands her own daughter pills and suggests suicide. I mean, that crosses a line, right? It goes into genuinely disturbing territory that just completely shatters how you might see her character. Okay, next up is a character you might not even remember, Peter's sister, Karen, also known as Heavy Flow. She shows up much later in the series, and it seems like her whole purpose is to explain why Peter is the way he is. The show basically frames his own awful behavior as a direct result of the insane abuse he went through as a kid at her hands. And we're not talking about simple sibling rivalry here. As this quote says, that goes beyond just bullying territory. It's not even just physical abuse and torture, it's sexual torture. Peter literally describes being put in a no-bottom James Bond chair where yeah, it's horrific. And hearing it laid out like that, it just forces you to face the reality behind what the show plays off as just another quick, shocking joke.
And it's not just the Griffin family. Even the side characters are something else. Take Connie D'Amico, the popular girl at the high school. Her rap sheet is insane for a teenager. We're talking statutory rape with an infant, Stewie, in disguise, and even faking her own death to frame Lois for murder. It goes way beyond high school meanness. One analysis calls it criminal mastermind behavior, and honestly, they're not wrong.
So this brings up a huge question, like a really big one. How does a show with this kind of record not only survive in 2025, but actually thrive? How has it dodged being canceled when so many others haven't? And maybe even weirder, how is it finding a whole new generation of fans?
Part 3, the TikTok meme machine.
a fragmented digital afterlife? Well, the answer's pretty wild, and it has everything to do with the show's bizarre second life online. It's living this fragmented digital afterlife on places like TikTok, where context doesn't matter at all and going viral is the only thing that counts.
And there's basically a formula for it, a life cycle. Check this out. Step 1, a joke gets written for an episode, maybe way back in 1999. Step 2, someone clips that one scene and throws it on TikTok or YouTube. 3, the audio or the visual from that clip becomes a massive viral trend. And 4, the most important part, the meme becomes totally, completely divorced from its original context. Millions of people are now using a soundbite from the show without knowing anything about the plot, the characters, or, all that deeply problematic stuff we just went over.
And this chart really drives the point home. Look at how new audiences are finding the show. Almost half are coming from TikTok clips. Add in YouTube compilations, and you've got the vast majority. Actually watching full episodes, that's a tiny little sliver. For this new generation, Family Guy isn't a 22-minute sitcom. It's just a collection of sounds and GIFs and short clips. The show basically exists in pieces now.
So where do we land on all this? This is our next section, an enduring animation legacy, or how do we reconcile the art and the actions? It's the big question, right? How do you balance the fact that this show was undeniably innovative and influential, with the fact that it's just filled with some deeply, deeply questionable stuff? Because here's the thing. No matter how you feel about the content, its place in animation history is pretty much set in stone. You can't ignore the groundbreaking musical numbers, the way it changed celebrity cameos, how it smashed network censorship boundaries, it solidified that non-sequitur humor in the mainstream. Its style influenced so many other shows. Its legacy on the craft of animation is secure. Which brings us back to that classic tricky question. Can we separate the art from the character's criminal records?
All right, last section. What is its final joke? Defining an unwieldy legacy. When you try to pin it down, Family Guy's legacy is kind of a cultural chameleon, isn't it? It changes depending on how you look at it. It's one part comedic genius that totally broke the mold. It's another part a disturbing criminal case file. And now it's a third thing, a digital ghost just haunting our social media feeds in these little 15-second clips.
And that leaves us with one last question to chew on. Is the final joke on us? Are we the ones being ridiculous for even trying to stick a neat label on this thing? Maybe the ultimate punchline of Family Guy is that today, it's not really a TV show to be watched anymore. It's just this chaotic storm of content chopped up and served to us by an algorithm we have zero control over. What do you think?